Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new hero analysis overview video. I am Sylphin. In this video we are taking a look at the numbers behind our newest hero to Paragon, Shinbi. What can we see from that? What kind of hero is she? How does she work with ability, damage, and all that kind of stuff? We're going to take a look at her abilities, going to see what they are, take a look at some math behind the various things that we can build on Shinbi, and then some little bit of gameplay that I did last night. So kind of a different video from usual, just because I'm a little late to the scene, being at Epic HQ and coming home just a couple days ago. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are looking at her numbers here. This is Narendra, his file that he has absolutely been keeping up to date and spot on. Absolutely amazing. Please go check this out. Link in the video description, because he does a fantastic job providing numbers here for the community. Amazing. So her normal basic attack is 0.5 power scaling with 53 damage with an increase of 1.6 at a 1.2 second cooldown. Now that is fairly low. It's kind of like a caster, but the power scaling is a little bit more. Power scaling is on her basic attack, just like definitely not Bellica, but it is like Countess. I do believe for power scaling, yes. You can see it's pretty much exactly like Countess. So her basic attack, it's Countess. She is a caster here, Shinbi. So her basic attack, it's a melee caster sort of a deal. But somebody like, if we go to what's his face? Wow, I haven't done a video in this long, and where the hell is he? Narbash. Jeez, there we go. You can see he is a little bit better about that power scaling. But anyways, she's basically a melee caster. Fortunately, her basic attack doesn't look all that great. Her right mouse button is her dash forward. Has 0.7 power scaling, so that's okay. That's okay. It's not a true caster power scaling, but it is just like Countess and some of her abilities as well. So it's okay, dealing 160 damage there at final. At level 4, but you can do that twice, so it's really kind of like 320 damage, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Situational, you gotta land those two, but it's actually pretty good when you consider it's 320 with 0.7 power scaling. It's pretty darn good. Now, line tempo is her very, very spammable ability. As you can see, only 52 mana cost at level 4. 2-second cooldown, dealing 131 damage with 525 power scaling. It's okay. It's okay. Again, it's a skill shot. It's situational, but with the fact that it's relatively low mana and on such a low cooldown, that's a pretty good source of damage. Pretty good source of damage over time. So, you know what? It's pretty good as well. It's pretty good. E is her circle rhythm. This is what she uses to heal herself. As you can see, you can heal for 65 a second with 0.2 power scaling. So this is kind of complicated. It just does damage every second. So every second there's power scaling for that, and then when you kind of total it up, you can get total damage of 84 times 4, and then you can just add up the power scaling. So if you land all 4 of those shots, which is really kind of quite simple, you just got to stick to your enemy. It actually does a fair amount of damage. It's a fair amount of damage, and it's a fair amount of healing. It's a fair amount of healing, and with the 0.75 total power scaling, or just 0.2, for each hit, it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. You can get a sense of all of her abilities are actually pretty good, besides her basic attack. It's kind of weak, if you ask me. So it's all pretty good, but situational. Now her ultimate is the hardest one of them all to kind of to look at, simply because it's damage per wolf stack that you get on the enemy with your other abilities. So at level 3, it's 74 damage per wolf, and per wolf is 0.328125 power scaling. So if you land all 8 wolves, you're going to get 8 times the 74 whatever that is, damage with a total power scaling 2.625. That is insane if you get 8 stacks off on the enemy. So for example here, narrators had done a little bit of a example with 200 power. With 200 power on your Shinbi at level 3, 140 damage per wolf. If you get 8 stacks on an enemy and you use your ultimate, 1,120 damage. Are you serious? Insane. So, ladies and gentlemen, the general theme of Shinbi is, if she works, if she's allowed to, land, if you can dash through the enemy twice, it ends up being a lot of damage. 320 at 0.7 power scaling. If you can land your skill shots here with your line tempos every 2 seconds, it adds up to quite a bit of damage. That's a good amount of damage. Circle rhythm. If you can stick on the enemy and deal 84 damage per second with 0.75 power scaling and heal off of that, maybe sticking to your target with your rush, it's really good. If you can get 8 stacks on somebody, it's absolutely insane. The skill cap on Shinbi, the situational awareness that you need in order to perform well on this hero is high. If you allow her to do something, just from her numbers alone, I think she is monstrous. It's crazy. 1,120 damage after she's already done a whole of her full rotation on you. She's basically able to just kill anybody. If she does her thing on somebody, they're dead. I can't see why not. Now, if we take a look at her other stats, she's a caster. She goes up to 1,443, just like every other caster. Mana goes up to 1,232, just like every other caster. Mana regen, just like every other caster. Attack speed, no attack speed, like every other caster. Basic armor, like every other caster. And ability armor, all heroes have the same ability armor. So, she's a caster. She's a melee caster. She's a melee caster assassin. If you want to use labels like that, she's a melee caster assassin. Just kind of like Countess, but a little bit more focused on damage over time. So with that in mind here, that her abilities are monstrous. If you can get, a full rotation off and you're allowed to do your thing, and her basic attack is kind of, what else can we draw from Shinbi? Well, we can draw from that, her basic attack isn't what you should focus on. If you were like me, I was actually kind of confused of exactly what Shinbi was. For whatever media, whatever outlet I listened to about Shinbi, for some reason I thought that she was a melee, like a basic attack hero. I don't know what it was, the language they used, I don't know. I was actually confused until sometime during the day on the Monday that one of the developers said something, and I was like, really? For some reason, the language wasn't there to make sense for me, and I thought she was a basic attack hero. As you can see here, with 50 CP into her basic attack, she only does 412 DPS. It's pretty poor. Pretty poor. If we go to, Aurora, she's a fighter. She's a fighter herself. So if we just wait for it to do its thing here, she's gonna get much better DPS here than that. And of course, okay, calculating formulas. Yeah, much better. 527. Aurora is a fighter, right? A little bit more ability focus, but Shinbi, she is a melee caster assassin, so her basic attack is not something you want to emphasize. If you want to emphasize it at all, crit and attack speed. Look, crit is what benefits her the most, followed very closely by attack speed. So if you want to emphasize Shinbi's attack speed, Shinbi's basic attack, attack speed's going to be what you want, because critical strike chance, critical hit requires a large investment. And as a caster, you're not going to want to do that. So attack speed. If you want to emphasize Shinbi's attack speed, 3-6 CP into attack speed. It's pretty much, I guess, really. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but the math, get some attack speed, just a little bit. And that's really going to help her attack speed the most, or her basic attack the most. As you can see, she really isn't a fighter. Which brings us to the only math really that kind of affects casters, and that's the power to ability penetration, and then of course mana and mana regen, but that is a separate topic. Now Shinbi, her mana is actually pretty good. So I found with the numerous games I've played with her now, her mana in the early game, yeah, it's a bit tricky, but you should just be playing smart, trying to get a critical mass of CP, playing it smart, being very careful, and just kind of not being too aggressive. So I definitely recommend a little bit of mana regen, but remember she is an assassin, so power, and some key cards like Hunter's Guile, perhaps a little bit of health, just because she requires that sustain in, you know, just to build her stacks, right? She needs that 4 seconds for her circle rhythm to go off, and you cast some lion tempos and you do some dashes. Requires some time, so some health in there is definitely recommended. I recommend an additional 300 health, even more, so 6 CP and up of health. She is an assassin, but I mean, you got to stay alive. If you're dead, you can't do anything, right? So I recommend that. So I'm going to say above 50 CP into damage. An ability pen, a couple for 100 Guile, Blink Charms, some mana regen. You could probably push this up to 55. Maybe that's fair, 55 or so. So if you're taking a look at 55, if we take a look at her abilities here, you're going to see that she doesn't like ability penetration that much. Doesn't like ability penetration. If we're taking a typical caster who wants to max out ability pen at 30, well, 15 and in order to equal 55, we go 15 and 40. And as we can see here, look at the damage of this one ability as it goes down here. It's really not that significant. If you go all power instead of maxing out ability penetration, you're only getting 7 damage. 7 damage, that's less than, what is that? That's 3% more damage. So her line tempo, her rush, her dash. That's only per 1 hit. So if you do 2 hits here, if you land 2 hits, so situation, you know, if you're talking about situation or situational thing here, we go 40 and right about here. Ooh, was one off. So 375 to 340. Like, you're talking about 9 damage. Oh, what is that? Sorry. That's 30 damage. That doesn't make sense if you just land it twice. No, the math that math doesn't work there. So if you just, you know, you're talking about it's measly. It's measly. So ability penetration, at least for her rush, doesn't really look all that exciting. If you take her line tempo, this is, you know, a hit every second here. Oh, the armor is actually there. Whoopsies. Oh, messing up a little bit. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's against a 30 armored target. If we go down here to 15 and 40, let's see, does that change stuff? Ooh, it actually does quite a bit. All right, so that is my bet here. Look at that, an extra 26 damage. Okay, an extra 10%, just for, you know, carding for ability penetration. Hey, an extra 10%, that's not bad. That's not bad, and especially when you use the ability twice, an extra 20%, like, that's fairly significant. Okay, that's fairly significant. My apologies there, as the armor had 60, so that was against more of an armored target. If we take a look at her line tempo, we can see here that this is going to be 257 versus 235. So again, a little bit more. Again, a 10% increase in that damage, and since that is going to be used a lot, that's fairly significant as well. We can take a look at her circle rhythm. Here. 15 and 40. We take a look, 516 damage versus 452. So that is fairly, again, just a little bit, 15% damage increase. Okay, and now her ult, this is going to be insane as her ult. If we take a look here, 15. Oh, look at this damage. Absolutely crazy. Holy smokes. 1,225 versus 1,129. No. So again, this is barely 10% increase. So you know, for a 10% increase for making sure you get 30 ability pen, that's okay. That is okay. Definitely not as strong as the other casters. Definitely not as strong as the other casters. She doesn't like ability pen as much as the other casters, but you know, it does work. It does work. With their wave clear being so good, you know, it's probably going to be good whether you build ability penetration or not. So really, guys, building 20 to 30 ability pen, that is really quite, that's effective. Building 20 at least, absolutely, I would definitely recommend it, but it's up to you. Is that worth it? What do you think? Leave me down in the comments. Do you think 10% increase just for building ability penetration is worth it? I think it is. 10%. So that's a lot. So Shinbi, yes, ability penetration, very good for her, but not as good as the other casters. So here I am playing with my wife on Shinbi against bots, just because my ELO would totally screw over my wife. So here we are having fun, just playing together. But I thought that this was a good showcase here. Now Shinbi, so her line tempo is that very quick. You can see me using it right there, just to get those stacks off. And now I rush forward, do a burst on the rampage with my rushing dash. Now in general, with Shinbi, I found, especially against the competitive design team, which, I mean, some of the best players in the world, you really had to wait. You have to wait till the end of a team fight, or if there's a lot of control on your friendly team, you gotta just sit back and wait. You gotta wait for those key abilities to be used, the stuns, the crowd controls, and everything, and then you go in. You're definitely a cleanup crew. You are absolutely a cleanup crew. And if you try to play her any other way, oh boy. I was destroyed by Baby Spine playing Crunch on another game we played on Monday, where you got to play some other cool things that I can't talk about, but absolutely destroyed because he would focus me, just beat just crowd controlled the snot out of me, and it was just impossible. I couldn't do anything. So Shinbi, you come in from the side, you come in from the back after, you know, a lot of the crowd control and stuff has happened, and you just kind of do your thing. Now, what is your thing? Well, your line tempo is something that you want to use as much as possible. As you're running up to your target, line tempo. You are just spamming your Q. Line tempo, line tempo, line tempo, line tempo, trying to get those stacks. And when you get onto your target, use your circle rhythm, your E, which is where your wolves run around you. Use that. If it's somebody like a Murdoch who you know has a push, and you're like, wait for your circle tempo. Wait for your circle tempo. As you can see there, that's kind of what you want to do in general. But you kind of save it. Once the Murdoch pushes you back, then you can use your dash to close the gap, and then you use your circle rhythm. Your circle rhythm is 4 stacks of your ultimate. It's half of your maximum there with your ultimate. So it's really important that you use your circle rhythm when you know you can stay on your target. If you don't know that you can stay on their target, if they have a blink, if they have a teleport like a Gideon, don't use it. Save it for when you exactly know when you can stay on your target, so that those stacks can build up. Next is your dash. Your dash is much more than a gap closer ability. It is also a disorientation tool where you can dodge. You can go through the enemy to disable, to disrupt them, whoa, where did they go? And then and then once they've turned around to try to do stuff to you, you can run away, or you can dash through them to the other side, and then they have to turn around again. It's very disorienting. And you use it as a means of finishing off your stacks. I felt like that was the best way to use it. You can either, hopefully you wait for an enemy that has no escapes, they've used their escapes, and then you jump in on them using line tempo before you close the gap. Use your circle rhythm to get those stacks on the target that can't escape, and then when you're taking damage or you're like, oh yikes, then you use your dash to kind of disorient them. You add a few more line tempos or a basic attack off. Use your dash again, simply because you can use it twice within 3 seconds. And then usually at that point, you got a lot of stacks on them. And you can use your tempo or your dash to maybe get into a safe position for you to use your ultimate. There is a bit of a delay between your ultimate. She kind of waves her hands, or there's a little bit of an animation, so you gotta be a little bit careful. I like using the dash to kind of finish off the stacks, get away from the target, especially if they're melee, and then you can use your ultimate to finish them off. So hopefully that makes sense. She's an absolutely fantastic assassin when you are enabled to do your thing. As you can see there, the Fae actually used her ultimate to bring me back, and actually broke it with Hunter's Guile, which we're going to go over a build that I have for her, and it's very effective. So yeah, go in on targets that don't have their escapes. Even if they do have their escapes, wait for it so that you can use your dash to maybe catch up to them, and then use your circle tempo. Use your circle rhythm. Use your line tempo as much as you can to just spam it on the enemy, get those stacks up. And then you kind of use your dash as a finishing tool, or as a gap closer, as I said, to get into maybe a good position, and then finish them off. So there you guys go. That's a little bit of the strategy. I think for some reason I kind of feel pretty good with her. I feel pretty good. I played 2 games with the competitive design team. And yeah, of course they carried me, but I was able to do quite a bit. Like, it was actually pretty badass. And then of course Baby Spine just totally kicked my ass on Crunch, but that is her issue. That is her issue. You gotta be fighting on your terms. Shinbi, you gotta be fighting on your terms. She has to be in control. She's the one doing the concert, and nobody's gonna take the spotlight from her. So basically, think of her like that, and boy, is it effective. And finally, here's a look at the build that I have made for her. That feels pretty damn good. Feels pretty good. I can't really think of very different ways to play Shinbi. Like a tank. She's an assassin. With, a Blink Charm and a Teleblink and a Hunter's Guile, or like a whole bunch of those things. Well, she already has so many good escape. Like, she has her dash to get away. Like, her mobility is fantastic. So I feel like emphasizing that is a little too overkill, or / just not worth it. Like, you're really not going to utilize it that well. Yeah, Blink Charm maybe to save yourself in bad situations. But I don't know. I feel like with the proper amount of attention and skill, she can just be monstrous. Oh, sorry about my camera. There. Hopefully that's better. Now, in the early game, I really liked her in the mid lane. Jungle with the Sylphin, yeah, she has actually pretty good wave clear with her line tempo. But she doesn't have that crowd control that a jungler / ganker really needs. So, no, I think mid lane. Off lane, she's an assassin. She's just gonna get bullied way too much. Yeah, she has some good, like, she has really powerful skills, which or abilities, which really works in the off lane. Leveling up, getting that character experience or hero experience. But yeah, her line tempo will be good for last hits and stuff. That's a possibility. Mid lane just feels so good. You get a lot of card experience, you got a lot of hero experience, you got those buffs, you got, and she has her dash, so you can get those buffs and then just kind of dash around and be safe. I think she's actually pretty solid. I really do think she's actually pretty solid. So in the early game, started with that health potion and healer token. I did try once with a cast token and healer token. Didn't really, again, because her abilities, her scaling is not that great. So like cast token, you're really not going to notice very much. You're going to see 3 more damage on your basic attack. No, 56 instead of 53. So I think just the health potion healer token is actually pretty solid. I think that's what you go for. Next, you go into your ward, which is your Brawler's Ward. Now, I can't believe I've never thought of this before, because I guess I'm just an idiot. I don't know. What is my camera doing again? Sorry about this, guys. I'm not sure exactly what is happening. So your Brawler's Ward here is you get 3 CP of value when you just equip the card. So because you get that, you get 1 CP of power, 1 CP of mana, and I guess, you know, the wards, the shadow wards, I guess are worth 1 CP. So actually, you don't really need to upgrade it. I mean, yes, you still, when you spend 3 CP, you actually have 4 of value for that upgraded bonus, but it's really not that bad, as bad as you think. So get your ward, don't upgrade it. Go immediately into a Solaris Reactor and get that mana regen. She really needs it in the early game. She's a typical caster, especially very ability focused. You're gonna have mana issues, so just go straight into the Solaris Reactor, complete the whole thing. Mana regen in the laning phase. You are staying out on the battlefield more than, well, for a long time, and you want to stay out on the battlefield to get that CP in the early game. So this mana regen, far superior than mana, far superior than mana, in my opinion, but I think I could probably prove that quite easily, and I think I have before. So Solaris Reactor, amazing first card, absolutely first card to get, and then go back, finish off your Brawler's Ward. At that time, you have 2 other choices. You have the Adamant's Edge and the Windcarver Blade. The Windcarver Blade, it's interesting. The final build actually has a Whirling Wand. It has 6 CP of attack speed. Why? Simply because Shinbi's abilities, yes, they are absolutely fantastic, but they require time. They require 4 seconds for your circle rhythm. Your line tempo is on a 2-second cooldown. You need to use that a couple times. You need to use that at least twice. And then you got to use your dash twice there, and 4 times on your E equals 8 stacks for your ultimate. You need 4 seconds. And 4 seconds in Monolith is a very long time. It's a very long time. And you know what? Throwing in a few basic attacks in there that are helped by this major kinetic, I think is actually really strong. I think she's more... Yeah, her abilities are absolutely fantastic, but you know what? I think she can really actually use a little bit of help on her basic attack. It feels really good. It feels really good in the late game. This card here is... What is happening to my cam? I'm really sorry about that, guys. I don't have time. I have so many videos to do, so my apologies there. My apologies. You get the raw, unedited Sylphin here, as I just don't have time, so I apologize. It feels really good. This Whirling Wand feels really good there. It is the last card you get, just because at attack speed, is the last thing you want to get. It feels so good when you get there. You can jump in, bang, bang, bang. Your basic attack is already pretty low cooldown. It feels really good. It feels really good, and I think that really, really helps. So you have some choices there in the early game: the Windcarver Blade and the Adamant's Edge. Adamant Edge, just because again she needs time to do her thing. Yes, you can come in at the end of a fight, and everybody's used their abilities and stuff, and maybe you're not going to take that much damage because of that fact. But I think that lesser health just helps. Sustain here on Monolith is coming back. It's coming back, and I think it's way more helpful than I think you would realize. So there's the Adamant Edge with a little bit of health. You have some options. Your first 4 cards are the Windcarver Blade, Solaris Reactor, Brawler's Ward, and Adamant Edge. So you can choose either that health on the Adamant Edge, or are you ahead, go into this Windcarver Blade. This is that minor kinetic. It helps. It really does. It really does. It's only 2 CP's worth, so it's not that much. I think it really helps. After that, Then go into your Hunter's Guile for sure. Don't upgrade this. Save those upgrades for last. Even after this Whirling Wand, save these upgrades for last because you want this Hunter's Guile. I've been saved by the Fae ult, by Fae ults, by slows. You know, her slows, by Muriel slows, by Greystone ultimates, by you name it. It's absolutely fantastic. Get it. It's only cost you 2 CP. 3 if you want to include the opportunity bonus or the opportunity cost. It's really not that expensive, but saves you in so many situations. After you get this Hunter's Guile, then go into the Chronomancer Disc for sure. It'll be fairly easy to get, I think, is because you replace a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you don't. So that's a little bit of a hump to get, but boy, after you get that cooldown reduction, 1.8 seconds on your line tempo, and especially your ultimate, reducing that quite a bit, it feels really good. You really feel it, and it's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. After this, Chronomancer Disc, then you go into your 12-point cards, which easier to get simply because you're replacing stuff. This Magna Lens, you get... you get later on. You get later on. I keep contradicting myself here, but the Whirling Wand is the last card, or the Hunter's Guile upgrade is the last card. I would go Whirling Wand, Magna Lens, then the Hunter's Guile's upgrades for those last 3 cards. But again, you can... You have options. You have options. It's never really set in stone. If you really need that health at this point, go into the Elder Mage Amulet. If you really need, you know, if you're ahead, go into this Whirling Wand. Get one of these 2 before you go into the Magna Lens, just because you won't have enough power for the math to work out. So get the Elder Mage Amulet or this Whirling Wand before this Magna Lens, then get the other one, then finish the upgrades on the Hunter's Guile. Actually feels pretty good. The transition points in this build actually feels pretty good. Chronomancer Disc, a little bit of a hump, but hey. So link in the video description for the agora.gg link, where you guys can check this out. Feels really good. It feels really good. It transitions fairly well. Feels really good. And I think, you know, thinking about Shinbi, what she can do, her limitations, you know, the skill cap, yes. If you have a really good team and coordination and you're absolutely just a monstrous player, you can get, yeah, I guess you can get rid of this health. And maybe the this kinetic, but it feels really good. This kinetic feels really good. There you guys go. There's a build. There's an overview of Shinbi and the math and everything behind her and her abilities. Please, guys, let me know down in the comments what you think of my... Jeez. I updated XSplit. Now it's like freaking out. So... let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Shinbi, her kit, her playstyle, this build. What do you think about her math? Do you know, should we play her a little bit more like a fighter? Or like a caster? Please let me know. Again, apologies for all of the glitchy stuff here. I just don't have time. I don't have time. There's so many videos I want to do now that I'm back from Epic HQ. I don't have time. So I very much appreciate your patience and your accommodation here with the glitches. Please like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, guys, of course, and subscribe. Please, if you want to see the content like this in the future, please subscribe. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.